Translator, Editor Henyi. Ran away? Ling Han's gaze pierced the distant horizon like a sharp sword unsheathed from its scabbard. Yet Zhu Bi had already vanished into the vast expanse without leaving even the faintest trace. Even if he and Hu Nu were to immediately give chase, the heavens were wide and the earth boundless. It would already be nearly impossible to catch up. Earlier, it had been precisely because Hu Nu had stirred up such chaos that Zhu Bi had seized the fleeting moment to escape. Otherwise, had Ling Han and Hu Nu kept their vigilance fixed upon him like hawks watching prey, a mere deity transformation tier warrior such as him would absolutely not have been capable of slipping away. The Yu family truly is a mighty heaven tier force, and beneath the 5 great sects, they can be ranked among the foremost first-grade powers. Wenren Qian said softly, a trace of worry surfacing within her expression. 3 heaven-tier elites residing within a single family, who in this world would dare to treat such a clan lightly. Moreover, the Yu family's 7th ancestor has also entered this historic site. If Zhu Bi were to report what happened here to that 7th ancestor, then we will truly be in grave trouble, she continued. Ling Han, however, felt no fear. Within him rested the Black Tower, a supreme treasure capable of sheltering him from calamity. At worst, he could temporarily withdraw from the storm of trouble. With the speed of his cultivation, by the end of the year, he would likely step into the deity transformation tier, and by then, slaying ordinary heaven tier elites would not be beyond his reach. With the power amplification of the Black Tower, he could even stand against opponents of the shattering Void tier. His gaze slowly swept across everyone present as he spoke. If heaven tier elites arrive, I do possess a method to deal with them. However, this involves my ultimate trump card. I am currently considering whether I can place my trust in you all. Under his gaze, which passed over them one by one, everyone felt their hearts tighten involuntarily. Ling Han's eyes carried a natural intimidation, and his entire being radiated the aura of a sovereign. Before such bearing, they subconsciously felt themselves fall short. Ling Han paused for a moment before continuing. I will reveal a treasure to all of you, but there is a condition. You must stand united with me in both heart and will, and never betray me. Therefore, those who wish to continue forward may remain, and the rest may depart. His words were clearly directed toward the Li siblings, Wenren Qian, Yuan Chenghe, and the rabbit. The Li siblings exchanged a glance with one another and were the first to declare their stance. They said, as brother and sister, we are willing to advance and retreat together with young Master Han, riding upon young Master Han's smoothly sailing ship. Not even the slightest doubt lingered in their hearts regarding Ling Han's strength and potential. Yuan Chenghe also spoke up, saying, I was already young Master Han's follower from the beginning. The rabbit gnawed on a stalk of spirit medicine as it spoke. You brat still owes Uncle Rabbit 2 Dragon's Blood Overlord ginseng, so Uncle Rabbit obviously won't be leaving. Only Wenren Qian hesitated. She too was the proud genius of a region, a woman possessing her own dignity and arrogance. She had rejected Jia Ming, who admired her, without the slightest hesitation. Naturally, she would not easily bind herself with a promise, and judging from Ling Han's stance, it was clear he intended to treat them as his subordinates, something her pride simply could not accept. She contemplated for a long while before finally saying, Brother Ling, I will take my leave for now. Ling Han nodded with a smile and said, We are friends. If you encounter trouble in the future, there is no harm in telling me. If it is within my ability, I will certainly not refuse. Wenren Qian was evidently delighted by his response and quickly said, Then many thanks, Brother Ling. She nodded toward everyone before leaping lightly into the air, her figure streaking swiftly into the distance like a drifting swallow. Ling Han cast another glance over the remaining group and said, I will bring everyone to a place. Do not resist my divine sense. Shoo, in the blink of an eye, he drew everyone into the Black Tower. N. The 3 individuals and the rabbit all cried out in astonishment. What place was this? This was certainly not the mystery realm they had been in earlier. Could it be that Ling Han possessed the ability to carry an entire small world upon his person? Ling Han smiled faintly and said, This is my spatial spirit tool. It can accommodate living beings. The 3 of them instantly revealed expressions of extreme shock. A spatial spirit tool capable of accommodating living beings was something unheard of in the entire world. The rabbit inhaled sharply in astonishment and exclaimed, "Brat, this isn't a spirit tool at all. It is a divine tool." A divine tool? Even Zhu Xuan could not help but cry out in surprise. "Correct," the rabbit nodded vigorously. "My ancient ancestor ascended into the divine realm. Although much time has passed, there were once special methods that allowed communication with the lower realm. So Uncle Rabbit also knows a few matters regarding the divine realm. A space that can accommodate living beings. Only gods possess the tremendous ability to extract such space and refine it into a microscopic world that can be carried upon one's body. And even among gods, only the truly powerful can accomplish such a feat. You can see for yourselves. The mystery realm we entered earlier is also a separate space capable of housing living beings. However, it cannot be carried away and instead remains fixed at a particular location, layered upon the ordinary space. To compress a small world into a mustard seed one is incomparably difficult. The larger the space, the more difficult it becomes. The surrounding space presses upon it, and the larger it grows, the more easily it collapses. That is why our spatial rings are all extremely small. Everyone nodded in understanding. Normally speaking, spatial rings were only about the size of a box. Those capable of storing space as large as a house were already extraordinarily rare treasures. They had always known that the larger the storage space of a spirit tool, the more difficult it was to craft, but they had never understood the underlying reason. Only now did the truth become clear to them. Thus, a mystery realm always existed in a fixed location, unlike spatial rings that could be carried about. Because it was anchored in place, it was like constructing a house. The foundation could be laid beforehand, and the walls reinforced afterward, allowing the structure to remain stable without collapsing. Everyone lifted their heads to look at the immense and boundless space of the Black Tower, their breaths hitching in astonishment. This space was entirely comparable to the size of a mystery realm. Only Ling Han himself knew the truth. The space within the Black Tower was far greater than any mystery realm he had ever witnessed, even larger than all of them combined. It must absolutely be the handiwork of a god. Everyone exclaimed in shock. Ling Han merely smiled. They only perceived the vastness of the Black Tower's space, yet they did not know of its true miraculous abilities. For instance, cultivating spirit medicine within it, producing the essence of earth and essence of water, and even unleashing the Black Tower's might to shatter an entire realm. The Black Tower was far more than merely a spatial divine tool. In fact, that was likely its least significant ability. Such a divine tool, even within the divine realm, would surely be fought over fiercely, especially one possessing such a vast space, the rabbit concluded solemnly. Ling Han laughed heartily and said, "You speak as though you have personally visited the divine realm." The rabbit snorted. It had originally intended to boast further, but the moment Hu Niu's fierce gaze swept over it, the rabbit immediately shut its mouth. Ling Han said, "Therefore, even if a shattering void tier elite were to come charging over, I still possess the ability to preserve my life. And our ambition is to split the skies." Split the skies? Yuan Chenghe and the Li siblings were all stunned with shock. What did it mean to split the skies? Breaking open the heavens themselves and bringing the vast lands into the divine realm, Ling Han explained. What? Yuan Chenghe and the Li siblings were struck dumb with astonishment. Had they misheard? This declaration was simply too shocking. To bring all the living beings of an entire land into the divine realm, was such a thing even possible? Splitting the skies is naturally extremely difficult, which is why everyone must cooperate and contribute their own strength, Ling Han said. He briefly spoke about establishing a nation and carrying out the act of splitting the skies, though he did not mention the conspiracy of the 5 great sects. As Yuan Chenghe and the Li siblings listened, their blood began to boil within their veins. They were young, and youth was naturally accompanied by great ambition. In all the world, was there any undertaking more magnificent than splitting open the heavens themselves? Young Master Han, I am willing to follow you, Yuan Chenghe declared loudly. Hehe, brother-in-law, if you don't mind my being in the way, I too am willing to contribute whatever small strength I possess, Li Fengyu said. Good, Ling Han said with great satisfaction. Translator Reverie Editor Henyi. All of them stepped out from the Black Tower and once again pressed onward along their path. After 2 days of travel, they finally departed from the vast sea region. Ahead stretched another boundless plain, dotted here and there with towering ancient trees and the occasional jagged mountain peak. It was as though they had returned to the land on the far side of the sea, for the scenery before their eyes was nearly identical. Could it be that the great sea lay at the very heart of this mystery realm? Have we circled back again? Could the precious treasure be hidden within the sea? The crowd could not help but grow suspicious. Shoo! At that very moment, a dark shadow swept across the heavens. Upon closer inspection, it was astonishingly revealed to be a pavilion. It had not been blown through the air, but rather had grown 2 legs of its own and was galloping across the earth, vanishing in the blink of an eye. Shut! Ling Han and the others exchanged glances, utterly speechless. Was it a ghost, or had it awakened a spirit of its own? A pavilion had actually sprouted legs and run. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Li Fengyu rubbed his eyes vigorously. You're probably not the only one struggling to see clearly, Ling Han said calmly. It was impossible that every single one of them had blurred vision. Shoo, shoo. At this moment, several more figures streaked through the sky with astonishing speed. The Lunar King, everyone exclaimed in surprise once again. They recognized one of the figures immediately. He rode upon a terrifying lion-like beast, a sight too distinctive to mistake. Those able to travel shoulder to shoulder with the Lunar King were most likely all elite experts of the Shattering Void tier. Several great Shattering Void tier elites are pursuing it together? That pavilion must contain astonishing treasures, Yuan Chenghe said. Unfortunately, it has already been targeted by Shattering Void tier elites. There's no way we'll get a share of it. Li Fengyu sighed. Ling Han smiled faintly and said, That may not necessarily be so. Opportunities rarely have anything to do with cultivation level. If those Shattering Void tier elites were able to obtain the treasures inside that pavilion, wouldn't they have claimed them long ago? That's true. We might still be able to obtain a portion. Li Fengyu's spirits immediately lifted once more. But a pavilion that can grow legs and run, this is simply too bizarre, isn't it? Zhu Xuaner said. Li Fengyu nodded repeatedly and said, Maybe it'll eat all of us. Ling Han replied, Forget it. Don't dwell on this problem for now. Even Shattering Void tier elites cannot catch it, let alone us. If fate decrees it, that pavilion will appear before us. If fate does not. Heh. Indeed, such a treasure was not something one could obtain merely by thinking about it. With their thoughts grounded once more, the first matter at hand was naturally not to hurry along their journey, but to enjoy a hearty meal. Ling Han produced a section of the tentacle beast's limb and refined it with immense force, compressing it smaller and smaller while condensing its essence. Then he added precious medicinal herbs from the Black Tower and boiled them together. The most valuable ingredient was the Myrie's precious pearl, from which Ling Han scraped a fine powder before sprinkling it into the pot. As the broth boiled, crimson clouds slowly rose, as if the flesh of a divine beast were simmering within. A rich aroma spread through the air, causing Hu Niu and the gold-seeking rat to leap up and down in excitement. Even the rabbit began secretly eating along with them. After half a day had passed, the pot of precious soup was finally complete, and everyone received a bowl ladled out for them. Vein-like patterns drifted through the soup, as though heaven and earth themselves were revealing profound mysteries. This was a perfectly tonic soup. Niu wants 2 bowls. No, 3 bowls. Hu Niu had not even begun eating yet, and was already fighting for food. Gee. The gold-seeking rat hopped onto Ling Han's shoulder and squeaked insistently, meaning that this baby also wants 3 bowls. Ling Han shrugged and said, Everyone gets 1 bowl first. If you can still drink more, ladle out another bowl yourselves. Everyone's spirits soared with ambition. How could a single bowl of such a tonic soup possibly be enough? But after just 1 bowl entered their stomachs, aside from Ling Han and Hu Niu, everyone else's bodies erupted with multicolored light, and their faces turned crimson red. How could they possibly drink a second bowl? Since the others could not eat more, Ling Han and Hu Niu did not even bother with bowls. They surrounded the pot, scooping up the soup and devouring the meat, leaving the others staring in astonishment at their monstrous appetites. This pot of soup brought immense benefits to their cultivation progress, and every medicinal ingredient within it was an extraordinary treasure. Consuming it directly nourished their Dao flower and their spiritual infant, carving out vein-like patterns as the energy circulated. The speed of their growth was astonishingly fast. In less than half a year, I'll be able to break through into the spiritual infant tier. Zhu Xuan Air exclaimed with pleasant surprise. She had always worried because her cultivation level lagged behind Ling Han's, and her battle prowess was far inferior as well, leaving her unable to assist him. Once she advanced into the spiritual infant tier, she would finally no longer have to stand by and watch from the sidelines each time. The Li siblings and Yuan Cheng. He also gained greatly from the meal, their joy impossible to conceal. After resting for a while, they once again set out. This region remained a paradise for beasts, with all manner of powerful creatures appearing one after another. Most of them were at the spiritual infant tier and the deity transformation tier, and there were even more than a dozen heaven tier beasts. Shattering void tier beasts had not yet appeared for the moment, but that did not guarantee that none existed. It was truly astonishing. Within a single mystery realm, they had actually encountered 2 shattering void tier beasts, though neither was particularly powerful, and one of them had already been subdued by the Lunar King. Against ordinary cultivators, however, shattering void tier beasts would crush them utterly. After another 2 days of travel, they finally walked out of this region. A stone gate appeared before them, and after passing through it, they turned back and saw 2 words engraved upon it: Beast Garden. This is the Beast Garden of some ancient power, a place used to breed beast pets. Everyone was stunned by such overwhelming handiwork. Experts like them had taken 10 full days merely to pass through a beast garden, and that had only been passing through it, not strolling through the entire area. The level of beasts is restricted by their bloodline. Since they are able to reach the shattering void tier now, then, when they were originally bred here, their ancestors must also have been shattering void tier beasts, Ling Han said. This was the most terrifying aspect of all. This force had been capable of capturing shattering void tier beasts and breeding them. How did this not sound like a dream? Only the ancient dynasty that once sought to split the heavens could have possessed such boldness and might, Ling Han thought. That ancient dynasty had once unified all lands beneath heaven, yet in the end still fell short, unable to truly split the skies. No wonder the shattering void elites were in such a hurry. This is extremely likely to be the location of the imperial city of that ancient dynasty. Mystical treasures! Everyone felt as though they were sitting upon needles. This was truly a treasure vault left behind by an ancient dynasty. They hurried forward, but beyond the flat plains lay a vast desert, an endless expanse of yellow sand stretching as far as the eye could see. If not for the fireball hanging in the sky that never changed its position, they would very likely have lost their direction. Thus they continued onward for 3 more days when suddenly a palace appeared before them. The residence of the ancient emperor? But when they approached, they discovered that it was not so. Upon the plaque hanging above the palace gates were written 2 words, Tool Pavilion. As the name implied, the Tool Pavilion was obviously a place where treasured tools were stored. Many people had already gathered around the palace. The treasure clearly lay before them, yet none advanced further. There could only be one explanation. They were being obstructed and could not enter. Ling Han and the others walked over. After questioning a few people, they learned that a metal puppet stood guard at the entrance of the Tool Pavilion. To enter the building, one had to first pass its test. If one attempted to force their way in without passing the trial, they would be slain on the spot. What test?